Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Evil Walks Among Us. Your host, Jonathan, interviews Dr. Jeffrey Checker, a supernatural investigator, author, and film producer, on various subjects involving the supernatural. Today's supernatural topic is curses. Please join us.
All right, everyone. Greetings. Thank you for joining us. This is another episode of Evil Walks Among Us, and with us always is Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, Jonathan. How are you?
Awesome. Everything's going fantastic. And today is going to be, I always say this, but again, it's going to be an interesting episode. Today we're talking about curses. This is going to be, again, I think you're going to be fascinated to hear what Jeff's going to say about curses, but what do people think curses are, Jeff? Like what, the secular people.
Well, I mean, my understanding from talking to clients, they typically believe that it's some form of voodoo or witchcraft or Santa Maria, just some type of evil activity that somebody practices, and then they can somehow magically take this curse and place it on an individual to the point where their lives start falling apart, and they're having all these problems and they're in fear of dying because of it as well. I mean, it's a very legitimate fear for people, but it's not something to be concerned about in regards to any human having any control over you. I'll put it that
way. Okay. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like people assign the credit to the wrong person or whatever.
Well,
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if first of all, if you look at these different occult types of activity, they are worshiping the God that I worship. They're worshiping something else, and that's not to say that this something else might not have some power, like i.e., a devil or a demon.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to apologize for that either. That if they want to get upset, then people can get upset. Because a curse is really nothing more than basically hypnotizing somebody to believe that you've got some kind of control over them. Because in actuality, if indeed a person's life changes supernaturally after this other individual puts a curse on them, it's not any type of magic. It's again back to our old enemy, the devil, and his minions, and they'll go ahead and portray a curse on a person, and in reality, it's back to being an attachment.
That's very, very interesting. And then, like I said, if you're distracted thinking, oh, it's coming from this other angle, or you're distracted looking at it from another direction, then it just goes under the radar.
Well, yeah. I mean, what are you going to do if you believe that you have been cursed and that this person has some type of power over you to manipulate your thoughts and your mind and your very being while you're not even near them? Well, then you've basically become a victim, and you've already succumbed to whatever, i.e., or excuse me, quote unquote magic that it is that they want you to believe. Where in reality, if something is occurring again supernaturally, it's something evil that's there in the house. It's not, it's not because of some particular curse. Although, in the world of satanic worship, I've done some studying, and apparently, the higher up you climb in that social ladder of theirs, the more authority that these demons give these people, to the point where they will listen to your request and go and harass people. But again, I don't think it's a curse per se. I think it's just because of that association they already have with evil.
Yeah.
That it listens to them and they go and do their thing. I mean, and quite honestly, I'm the older I get and the more I've been in this field, the more it all becomes black and white instead of all this gray and this smoke and mirrors. And it's quite a relief to know what's really going on. And that's all I really want to impose on our listeners is I don't want to shove the Bible down your throat. I'm saying, if you're willing to sit and study documentation online for hours and scientific studies of what these spirits are, then take a little bit of time to read scripture, and maybe familiarize yourself with that too, because it never hurts to have many quills in your arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
no, definitely. Huh. Yeah, I was. I think I just lost. Yeah, I just lost the question. Hang on.
well, a lot of people, they believe in generational curses as well.
Thank you. That's actually what I was gonna say. Thank you. Yeah. So, like, what would what do people like think of that when it comes to that?
Well, it's real. That's, to me, this is a really interesting subject because I didn't realize how prevalent it was. Again, working with, I don't know, my wife and I have probably worked over 1,000 people and their families, and a lot of times, I mean, I don't have a percentage in front of me, but over 50% of the time, if these people are involved in a family, they're like, "Oh yeah, my mom and dad went through this," and I can recall my grandmother telling me stories about this as well, and now here we are experiencing it. And so they think they're cursed, right? And they think it's because of the generation, the family they were born into. And what we found after exhaustive investigation and exhaustive interviewing is that, again, it's the same thing. It's attachments. It's a demon. Grandma was playing with the Ouija board and brought in demons in the house, and the demons decided to stay there and be comfortable. And then grandma had, a child, and then that person had another child, and so on and so forth. And these things matriculate. They just, they just go down the lineage, and they hang out with the family. That's what they've been ordered to do, I believe, and that's what they do. It's easier to continue to manipulate, people as they are born and to a family and are already experienced these things, than try and find somebody else that's already an adult and has never experienced the paranormal.
Makes sense. Yeah, no, it makes sense. But yeah, like I said, I love the way you come at it, because it gets you to think, because you're like, okay, I can see that, when
I try and use logic, I mean, I was a computer engineer for the better part of 2 decades, and I wrote code, and you have to use logic or you don't have a job,
Yeah, exactly.
and it really helped. I mean, it really trained my mind to look at everything from a logical perspective. It's like when I go to a client's home, even if I'm almost 99 to 100% convinced that, you got something in your house, I will still go to their home once I'm there for the first time and try and logically deduce another answer that's not spiritual. To find if there's another, you have high EMF in your home because your house is wired improperly,
no, really.
Do you just have leaks coming through your wall when the wind blows, and that's the cold air you're feeling behind you when you happen to walk past here? Well, if you can answer all those questions, no, and you still believe the client from all your interviewing, well, then, you're working, with something evil in the house. Evil walks among us. I mean, that's title of the show because it's a reality.
That's so. Again, I just love hearing you line everything up and let people ponder these things. I guess coming back to I think we kind of mentioned this, but like curses, where what if you say like voodoo dolls? I don't really know technically how they work, but I'm sort of assuming or whatever. But I guess again, the idea behind that is to take your focus off of you or whatever, and to put it on that doll. Like, oh, see, it's this doll. Like that's the cursed object.
The key. Yeah, that's the key to it all. Is this cursed object, exactly? But in reality, it's some demon hanging out with you and causing havoc. Because first and foremost, they really don't want you to know that they're there. Although sometimes, they will show themselves, and I can't speak for them to determine why they will show themselves at times and not at others. I do know when I investigate, they have a tendency to hide more, but we always capture them, either photographically or on video or audio. But their hope is that, they can kind of remain under the covers, or if they want to show themselves, they'll show themselves as a human, your past relative or a little girl that some mother in the home might feel sorry for. And then all of a sudden, she's become vulnerable, this woman, because she's allowed this thing to attach itself unknowingly.
Mm. Mm.
And then back to the curse and our voodoo. I haven't studied voodoo that extensively, but I probably have the same knowledge that most people do, that somebody puts a curse on a person by actually cursing this doll that looks similar to the person, right?
Right.
And then they do things to it that affect that individual. Well, again, we have found that, for one thing, demons, they can move at lightning speed. We've seen them move in a person's backyard after I had asked God to kick them out of this person's house and off their property. They had a literal fence around their backyard, and these demons were flashing from tree to tree to tree, like trying to find an opening to get back into the property. They were moving very quickly. I mean, I can't imagine how I could measure the speed, but just suffice it to say, they'd be in one spot, and then 50 feet away, they were there all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And so I believe they have a form of communication, and they can also move quickly, rapidly from place to place. And so therefore, it wouldn't be unbeknownst to them to probably be behind, these particular curses. I don't see where there's any form of real magic. I think it's all demonic. And there's been people that have been high up in the hierarchy in satanic worship, and then have found the Lord and come back and revealed what they did and the things they saw and the demons they interacted with.
Oh, wow.
And it's scary stuff. And they come out and admit to it. Yeah, the only thing that's going on here is Satan and the power that he has in this realm. And that's their words after devoting 30 years of their lives to this entity.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Be that as it may, I always like to say, you can believe me or not, and that's fine. Hopefully, if I'm right, which I believe I am, then hopefully people's minds will change before it's too late, and they find the truth, when it's too late. That's my biggest concern, really, because the longer you believe that there's spirits running around and aliens and Bigfoot, the less likely you are to believe the truth, and then the more likely you are to become damaged as an individual, and possibly even in your family lives. I mean, I've had a lot of ghost hunters contact me. All of a sudden, they're having all these health problems, and their marriages are falling apart, and they don't know why. And I'm telling you why. It's because you have gone and trampled, on fire in Satan's world, and now you're getting burned.
Here's a thought I just had, like, when it comes to when we were saying, like, the more you kind of believe in them or feed that kind of thing, then, the demons or whatever are going to pile on, like, that's why we're kind of saying maybe it seems like there's portals, but it's just because of all these people, making them draw there. Can you approach it the same way, sort of in reverse? Like, so what if you're like, I don't believe in curses or whatever, and like with that same kind of process, can you negatively, polarize demon activity, that, by being like, oh, I don't believe in curses or whatever, and not feeding into it?
Well, I mean, I suppose, because I would think it would have to you would have to be doing something in your life more than just not believing in a curse in order to draw a demon to you, though, I think, I mean, the typical way a demon seems to respond to a human is, if you offer me, any opportunity to come into your life, I'm going to take it. Right. Whether that's a disbelief in curses, maybe. I really can't answer that question unequivocally, Sorry, but yeah, it's I guess that's my answer, is I don't know.
Yeah, no, I just figured I'd throw it out there just because it's just interesting.
No, I mean, it's a good topic.
Yeah.
It could be the very same thing as somebody that's an atheist. Well, I don't believe in God, so therefore, the devil doesn't exist either. But you know what? I bet you I can show you proof he does.
Huh. Yeah, no, yeah, that's a really actually a good point. Let's see. Shoot, I just lost my other question. But
Well, I'd like to point out to the audience that you know, if you believe you have a generational curse, first thing you might want to do is, if you're not already, is start praying about it. You know, if you have some thought process in your head that you're being cursed, look at it from a different angle. Maybe look at it that you have some type of an entity in your life.
See if your
that's
mom or
bothering
dad or grandparents have the same issues or whatever.
Right.
And
Yeah. Reach out to people, and then don't allow this thing to cause you to become depressed, because that's what they want to do. Is they want to depress you. They want to make you anxious. They want you to feel as though if you reveal what's going on, that people are going to think you're crazy, because they ultimately want to isolate you, because once you're isolated, you're much easier to attack.
Yeah. No. Yeah, actually, that's a good place to end right there, is to reach out to people and ask, like, does anyone else in the family struggle with this or whatever? That, because then you're not going to feel alone.
Right.
You know?
And if people have questions, I'm more than open to trying to answer questions for people or offer help in any way that I can, because I'm very passionate about the Lord, but I'm also very passionate about people, and that's why I do what it is I do. I'm not here to try and make a dollar by telling you my opinion. I'm here because I've experienced this activity for 50 years and I've learned a thing or two, and I'm trying to be the voice of reason in a world where people need answers.
Exactly. Perfect. So everyone, this is going to wrap up this episode. Thanks for listening to Evil Walks Among Us. You're going to find links on the page to go to the websites and everything else. And so thank you so much for listening and downloading. We'll talk to you next episode. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This has been a 777 production. Copyright 2022. You can purchase Jeff's books on Amazon.com, in either hard copy or Kindle. Just search for Jeffrey Checker in the search bar. Be sure to watch for Jeff's movies, Examining Eloise, War in Wisconsin, Generational Curses, and The Haunting at the Old Mill, coming to a streaming platform soon. You can also search for the Demon Hunter Society, as there is a website and Facebook page for contact information.